back to Fishing with Big Nasty. Where are we going fishing today? We ain't going nowhere. We're going to talk about one of the most controversial subjects I know about in the catfishing world. Fishing line. So stay tuned. Boy, catfishing are about to cut you over some line. You know that? Y'all know what I mean. I mean, people get in real in-depth discussions about braid, mono, what's the best, what they use. Well, use what you want to use, but I'm going to give you my take on this whole thing with fishing line. And over a period of about 3 or 4 years, I've used everything I'm fixing to show you today. It all kind of started as a gateway drug with this stuff. When I was a kid, that's what my daddy used. So that's what I used. It's like when your daddy changes oil in his car and he uses Havoline or Pennzoil or whatever. That's what you usually use when you get older. And my daddy used this stuff, and I did too. And I caught a lot of fish. Mostly panfish, small catfish. It served its purpose. I didn't know any different. I'd never seen braided line before. Never really seen anything other than string that I thought was something that I'd buy, because that's what I used when I was a kid. And fast forward a few years, I start getting a little bit more serious about fish. Start getting a little bit more serious about the size of fish I was catching. And when I was first introduced to the big blue catfish, I was told that this was the Mack Betty. That was the stuff to use. The guy that showed me how to catch big blue cats anyway, that's what he used. And I used it. And I caught big fish on it. I'm talking 25, 30 pound, maybe 35 at the biggest blues. And, I still hadn't stepped up my game real big time yet, but I'm stepping up my game on the line. But I gotta say, the castability issue was a real problem with me. I don't like line with memory. But still, I don't know any better. I've never used braid. So I had considered swapping over to some braid and trying it. Heard horror stories about it. I mean, absolute horror stories. But still, I'll go out and buy some. And what did I try first? Spiderwire. Highly impressed with it. The strength is there. I caught my first over 50 pound fish on this very line here. This is the remainder of what I had left after I spooled that rod and reel that I had. And it is the Easy Braid 20 pound test. I put it on a light medium tackle rod and landed a 5104 blue on it. After he rubbed me through a splinter on a dock and about spooled me out. And I'm gonna tell you, it was a very traumatic experience for me. But after not breaking, after all that mess, I was kind of sold on this line. The only thing I had against it is it's real waxy looking. You can't see any braid. I know it says it's braid, and I'm sure under a microscope there is some type of rope style braid in that. But every time I got done with this line from fishing with it, it always appeared to be real weathered, like you'd been flossing your teeth with it. As a matter of fact, it reminds me of floss. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. And just a real waxy looking line. It does kind of hold a shape. I mean, you can manipulate this line and make it hold a shape. It's real weird, but strong. I was kind of sold on this line for a while because I figured that was the best stuff going. And but yet I was still looking for something a little bit different. The castability on that's not bad, but it's not super duper great. I didn't realize that until I went to something a couple of times after that. A friend of mine was telling me about this stuff. Said that was the Mack Betty line. And I tried it. And I got to tell you, the strength of this stuff is amazing. I've drugged some stuff up off the bottom of lakes and rivers that you wouldn't believe you could get up. Stumps, trees, all kind of stuff. This is 40-pound test. And it's strong. I mean, that's some strong line. Not terribly unimpressed with the performance of the line as far as strength. Castability on it sucks. I mean, this stuff right here, it looks like a slinky. And when it comes off your reel, it looks like a slinky going through the eyelets. And you can hear it slap every eye on that rod going out. And that really didn't impress me much. I was hoping that I would grow to like it because it is so strong. But I'm not really sold on it yet. I would use it for leader line. That's about it. Leader line, it would be good for that. In probably a 50 or 60 pound line, but I just, not really thoroughly impressed with it. Had considered going to Andy, some Andy Monster. I know a lot of guys talk about this Andy Monster. I don't think this is Monster, but anyway, it's Andy line. This is something that I got in a deal one time, tackle box. I used it. It's I think 18-pound test maybe. I used it on a couple of bass rods. Still not really impressed with it. It's got a lot of memory and tangles up real easy, and I just didn't really like it. So what was my options after that? Well, I heard a guy on YouTube talking about this stuff, and it's a 65-pound braid. And you want to talk about some limber line? I mean, it is limber. It won't hardly hold a shape. You can't hardly make it hold a shape of no type. It just, I mean, it will get a little kink in it if you try to make it, but I mean, it comes right out. Limber line. This is 65-pound reaction tackle. I'm gonna flip it upside down so you can read the sticker on it. 65-pound reaction tackle. The first I got was High Vis Yellow. This is the second roll I bought of it. It's 500 yards. For 65-pound test, it is awful small. To me, it's smaller than that 40-pound slime line by far. And the castability of this is just amazing. Now, with braid, there is that thing of getting tangled up. If you get tangled up, you may as well cut it, because you're going to spend hours and hours trying to get this stuff untangled. That's just something you got to live with braid. But I was looking for castability, and I'm telling you, I got it. It's strong. I've used it in a river a lot. Rubbing on rocks, it doesn't seem to take that beating like that Spiderwire does. Now, I always change about 10 or 15 feet off of my rods and reels every time I come back and retie. It's got some serious looking braid to it. This stuff's like a saw. I bet you could saw a tree in half with this stuff. I mean, it will hurt you bad. I keep cuts on that finger from where I'm pulling the line and tightening it when I'm tying knots. But it is some bad stuff. And anybody that tells me that braid ain't no good, braid rubs off rocks and it'll break off on you, I mean, anything will. Mono will. But this stuff right here has took a beating and performed well for me. So I'm sold on the reaction tackle line. I like it. I've stepped up from 50-pound Spiderwire, which is what I use on some of my bigger rods. And I was using a 50-pound leader. This stuff right here, offshore angler. It's saltwater stuff, a big spool. but I stepped up to an 80 pound on this, 80 pound leader, because I'm going after the big boys in the river, and I like to horse them. I mean, I like to horse them when I catch them. So I don't want some cheap line getting in the way, having to worry about breaking off. So I stepped up my game a lot. That line, that reaction tackle line, it probably is some of the best line I've ever put on. The castability increased by a lot. I'm gonna say probably 10 to 25 yards. I noticed where I was hitting before, and this, in some of the spots I can dang near, cross the river with it and get a lot farther out than I was with that Spiderwire. So the castability is there. It don't bury down in itself like the Spiderwire does. The Spiderwire will bury down inside of itself, and then as it comes off, it's tugging to get out of there. I mean, with a 3 or 4 ounce weight on it, still you can feel it unburying itself as it's coming off the reel. And that reaction tackle doesn't seem to do that. It lays on top of each other, just like mono does in a lot of ways. So big debate. I know a lot of guys that like braid. I know a lot of guys that like mono. I'm kind of sold on the braid, and just that little swap over to the slime line on a couple of my reels for a year didn't do anything for me. I'm back to braid. So please comment on this. I'm sure it's going to be a big debate, but hey, use what you use. If you like braid, use braid. If you like mono, use mono. But if you want some bad braid, try that reaction tackle. It's $17.99 for a 500-yard roll. So what do you got to lose other than $17.99? Try it. I don't get any money from them or anything. I'm just telling you, that's the best line I've used in a while. Till next time, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see y'all later.